Director Aquino,
Here.
Director Carr,
Here.
Director Daniels, Director Frost,
Here.
Director Guerra,
Here.
Director Hansen, Director Harris,
Here.
Director Kennedy,
Here.
Director Lamson, Director Lee,
Here.
Director Natoli, Director Natoli, are you on the line?
I think he's muted.
Yeah, let me give him. Director Natoli? Director Peters? Director Cerna? Director Terry?
Here.
And I think Director Lamson, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Good morning, everyone. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us for this board meeting. We'll go ahead and commence with the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone will rise and join me at their home, find a flag if they can. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty with justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Let's see. Madam Clerk, would you please read the board clerk announcement for those watching on Zoom or on TV?
Yes. In compliance with directives of the State and Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the physical location of this meeting is closed to the public, consistent with state guidelines on social distancing and California Executive Order N2920. Members of the public are encouraged to participate in the meeting by observing the meeting in real time at www.sacmetrocable.tv, Zoom video conference, and by submitting written comments electronically by email at boardclerk@airquality.org. Comments submitted in person will be delivered to the Board of Directors by staff. Public comments regarding matters under the jurisdiction of the Board of Directors will be acknowledged by the chairperson and accepted into the adjournment of the meeting, distributed to the Board of Directors and included in the record. This meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Air Quality Management District is cablecast live without interruption on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T U-verse cable systems. This meeting is being closed captioned and will be webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting will be repeated on Saturday, July 25th, 2020 at 2 p.m. and Sunday, July 26th at 4 p.m. on Channel 14. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. We do have a good number of things we've got to vote on today, and then a discussion calendar at the end of the meeting here that are receiving files. But I'd like to make sure that we get through 1 through 5 here. Dr. Ayala, I think we're at our Air Pollution Control Officer's report.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Board. It's good to see you all. Thank you for joining us. We wish that you are still doing well and staying safe. We're going to give you an update in a minute in terms of how things are going here at the Air District, but just want to thank you for joining us. I'm going to make a brief report for you. Just to keep you up to date on a couple of important activities that we have been engaged in. And before I go ahead, I want to give a special welcome to Mayor Aquino, our newest board member, who is stepping in to represent the city of Folsom. Welcome. Madam Clerk, if you can go to the next slide, please. So the first thing I want to make the board aware of is the conclusion, at least the formal aspect of the mayor's Commission on Climate Change. I hope that you recall in a previous report from me that The Air District was happy to be seated at the table formally as a member of the commission. The two cities involved were specifically Sacramento and West Sacramento. And I think we had also a member in terms of Elk Grove wanting to move some of these agenda items. We've concluded the formal process. So we identified goals and targets to reduce carbon emissions so that hopefully we can get the two cities to carbon neutrality by 2045. And what's before us now is implementation. So we got to continue the work to see how we get to the actions that are going to reduce carbon. From our perspective as an air district, as you know, a lot of the projects that we're putting in place do come and are focused on carbon reduction. So we're going to be targeting using the incentive dollars that we get from the state to try to advance electrification, deployment of infrastructure. We also play an important role in land use decisions and resiliency in the region with some of our activities like understanding the urban heat island effect, for example. So just wanted to make you aware that we've concluded, and we invite you to check out the final report where we spell in detail what we are committing to do as a region. Next slide, please. And then the last two things that I want to share with the board is legislative activity. Obviously, like many jurisdictions, we're looking for opportunities in terms of how do we capitalize on potential stimulus funding, targeting recovery from the COVID crisis, but to do it in a way that we can do it so that we can get a co-benefit for cleaner projects and advance on our air quality goals. The first one is HR 7073. Congressman Garamendi introduced this legislation. And this basically opens the door for special districts like us, any special district, to have access to reimbursement for costs associated with the crisis. Next slide, please. And then the last point that I'll make is we've also joined forces with the other large air districts in California, and the five of us have submitted a request to Congress and to our two senators asking for additional funding for cleaner projects on the order of about $1 billion, where we made the case that we've identified some clean air projects. These are all the areas that are still in non-attainment of the standards. So we are making the case that it makes sense to spend some of the funding to not only create economic activity, but also advance on air quality. So that concludes my APCO report. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Ayala. I appreciate that. Do any members of the board have questions for Dr. Ayala on this? If not, then we'll, Sue, did you have your hand raised? Oh, no. Okay, good. Well, thank you. I think that's the long and short here is we keep working, and hopefully we'll have some resources from the feds here to continue the work we're doing. Moving on, Madam Clerk, to the next item on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is the consent calendar.
Great. Thank you very much. Is there a board member who'd like to move the consent calendar?
So moved.
It's been moved by Director Lamson and seconded by Director Carr. Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the public signed up to speak or submitted comments?
No, we do not.
Are there any members who wish to comment on items on the agenda?
At this time, no.
Do we have any board members who wish to comment on any items of the consent calendar? Seeing none, then we'll go ahead and move for a roll call vote here. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Director Aquino?
Aye.
Director Carr?
Aye.
Director Daniels? Absent. Director Frost?
Aye.
Director Guerra?
Aye.
Director Hansen? Absent. Director Harris?
Aye.
Director Kennedy?
Madam Clerk, what's the tally on that? Oh, did we, Kennedy?
Director Lamson?
Aye.
Director Lee?
Aye.
Director Natoli? Director Peters, Director Serna, Director Terry,
Aye.
Directors Kennedy and Natoli, can you please unmute your,
Sorry about that. Aye.
okay, got your eye. What about you, Director Natoli? Okay, I don't think he's on the line. I'm going to mute him. Motion passes.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. That measure carries. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, Madam Clerk. We have item number 4.
The next item, the public hearing, item number 4, reasonably available control technology demonstration for the 2015 Ozone National Ambient Air Quality Standard. And I have Kevin Williams to give a presentation. Give me 1 second while I pull it up.
Sure, thanks.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Kevin Williams, and I supervise the rulemaking group at the district. Today's presentation is going to cover both items 4 and 5 on the agenda. They're related, but each requires its own separate public hearing. The first item, which is item 4, covers reasonably available control technology demonstration for the 2015 ozone standard. The second item is an emission statement certification for the standard, and I'll get into what these are on the next slide. Next slide. In 2015, EPA adopted a new National Ambient Air Quality Standard, or NAAQS, for ozone. The district is in a non-attainment area for this standard. Because of our designation, we are required to submit several state implementation plan, or SIP, elements. These elements are on today's agenda. First, Clean Air Act requires specified source categories and major sources of nitrogen oxides and organic compounds to implement reasonably available control technology, or RACT. Second, we must certify that we have procedures that require annual emission statements for large sources of emissions. Next slide. For the RACT SIP, staff performed an analysis of current district rules, source categories, and sources, and determined that the emission controls meet RACT. As a result, no rules need to be amended, and no sources will be required to be modified or to replace their equipment. For the emission statement certification, District Rule 105 emission statement requires large stationary sources to submit an annual inventory of actual emissions. Staff determined that the existing district rule still meets the Clean Air Act requirements as they apply to the 2015 ozone standard. Next slide. So here are the recommendations for today. Conduct a public hearing for each item. Determine that the adoption of the RACT SIP and emission statement certification are exempt from CEQA. Approve the resolutions adopting the RACT SIP and the emission statement certification, and direct staff to forward the documents to ARB for submittal to EPA. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, for that presentation. Are there questions from the members of the board?
Chair Guerra, I would move to open and close the public hearing and move this item.
Very good. We will move. I'll ask you to do 2 motions. We'll take this item number 4 first. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Director Carr. Madam Clerk, are there any members of the public who have signed up to speak?
No, they have not.
Did we have any submissions from the public?
No, we do not.
Thank you. All right, let's go back to the board here. Are there any members of the board who have questions for staff or comments on this item? If not, then Madam Clerk, can we please call a roll on item number 4, please?
Yes. Director Aquino,
Aye.
Director Carr,
Aye.
Director Daniels, Director Frost,
Aye.
Director Guerra,
Aye.
Director Hansen, absent. Director Harris,
Aye.
Director Kennedy,
Aye.
Director Lamson,
Aye.
Director Lee,
Aye.
Director Natoli,
Aye.
Director Peters, Director Cerna, Director Terry.
Aye.
Motion passes. I just want to
Thank-
make a note that Director Natoli is in the board chambers and he did vote on this item.
Very much. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Director Natoli. And let's go to item number 5. Board Member Harris, do you mind moving that item?
I'm happy to. So I'd like to open and close the public hearing and move the item forward.
Director Carr? Seconded by Director Carr. Madam Clerk, are any members of the public signed up to speak on this item?
No, they are not.
And did we have any submissions from the public?
No, we do not.
Very good. Any questions from the board? This was the same presentation as we had prior. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Director Aquino,
Aye.
Director Carr,
Aye.
Director Daniels, Director Frost,
Aye.
Director Guerra,
Aye.
Director Hansen, absent. Director Harris,
Aye.
Director Kennedy.
Aye.
Director Lamson,
Aye.
Director Lee,
Aye.
Director Natoli,
Aye.
Director Peters, Director Cerna, Director Terry.
Aye.
This motion passes. This item passes as well.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Since that motion has carried on, so we will move on to our discussion calendar for today. The following 2 items are receive and file. Thank you, but we do need a quorum to maintain the board hearing. Madam Clerk, could you please read the first item?
Item number 6 on the discussion calendar, AB617 South Sacramento Florin Community Air Monitoring Update. And I have Janice Lamb here to give a presentation, or on the line to give a presentation.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay, perfect. Good morning, Chair Guerra and members of the board. My name is Janice Lamb Snyder, and I'm the program manager in the Program Coordination Division. This morning, I'm going to be giving an update on reaching a big milestone for AB617 program in the South Sacramento Florin community. Next slide, please. As a quick recap of the AB617 program, we know that air districts are, currently tasked with meeting federal and state standards for regional air quality. While the region has made significant progress over the last 3 decades improving air quality in the region, there's still some more work to do to understand and improve localized air pollution, especially in our most needed communities. In late 2017, the California legislators enacted a law that focuses some cap and trade revenue to put into localized air monitoring and emission reductions for selected communities. AB 617 really puts the community stakeholders' air pollution concerns at the center of the program. The district recommended 10 communities in Sacramento to be a part of the state's AB 617 program, and 1 community, the South Sacramento Florin community, was selected by the state to be funded. Over the last 18 months, we have worked with the South Sacramento Florin community to develop a community air monitoring plan to address the issues and concerns that was expressed to the district. To date, the district has held 19 meetings with the South Sacramento community to develop a community air monitoring plan for the selected area. We submitted this plan to the California Resources Board on July 1st. This community air monitoring plan takes a 3-phase approach that increases in sophistication, building and learning from the data collected in previous phases. In the next few slides, I'm going to be providing a overview summary of the three phases of monitoring in the South Sacramento Florin community. Next slide, please. So what you see here is phase 1, where we utilize real-time air monitoring sensors. We installed 21 of these sensors in the South Sacramento Florin community in many of the sensitive receptor locations, such as schools and parks. These sensors measure for fine particulate matter, also known as PM 2.5, and nitrogen dioxide, also referred to as NO2. The data that you see here is available on our website through the sensors data portal. And in addition, the data is being sent to CARB's data portal that can be downloaded by any member of the public. Next slide, please. We are currently working on installing phase 2 monitoring sites in the community. In addition to the 21 sensors that you saw on the previous slide, phase 2 will add more sophistication to the monitoring equipment. So it's going to allow us to collect information about gaseous toxic compounds through canisters, black carbon, and toxic metals. The goal of this particular phase is to collect monitoring data to inform the placement of the next phase, the monitoring trailer, phase 3, which is very similar to a regulatory grade monitoring station. This particular phase here is a 6-month campaign. Next slide, please. Which brings me to phase 3. So what you see on this slide is similar to the trailer that we're going to be procuring. As you can see, phase 3 will be over a year monitoring in the community. You can see on the slide that it has a suite of air monitoring pollutants that it's going to be measuring for, including toxic metals and our usual suspects such as PM 2.5 and ozone. With the suite of monitoring data that we're going to collect from all 3 phases, we will be better equipped to characterize the local community air pollution impacts and the burden in the air pollution burden for the South Sacramento Florin community. With that, that concludes my my presentation, and I'd be happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Janice. It's like the one-man band there on phase 3, huh? So I appreciate that. I do have a few comments to make on this. One, I know we want to appreciate the city staff. My apologies there. I want to thank the Air District staff for their work. I know they've been meeting with many members, not only in the Florin community, but over in the Franklin and Fruit Ridge community, and helping them identify how best they can look at further air monitoring. So thank you for that. And I think what the presentation showed, that there were concerns about phase 1 not being able to collect enough data, but it's the combination of phase 1, 2, and 3 that really shows the comprehensive ability to start collecting all the air quality data down to some of the other contaminants that are in the air. So thank you for taking the time to explain that and to discuss that with the community. I have Councilmember Carr up here. Councilmember Carr.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Kara. Janice, I'm dealing with a small screen here, so it wasn't, I couldn't really detect the coverage in Meadowview. The map was too small for me to see exactly what we were doing and where the monitors were located.
So I don't have a map of there, but Meadowview was one of the communities that we have recommended to the state board to be part of the program, and Meadowview is not currently included in this monitoring campaign.
And whose decision was that?
That was the state's.
ARB.
ARB.
The function of the original map that was drawn, Alberto, that left out certain parts of the city?
So we, as Janice reported, Director Carr, we actually identify 10 different discrete areas or communities within our air district. And when we submitted our proposal to the state, to ARB, we wanted all 10 communities to be selected. Given the constraint on resources and the fact that, as you can imagine, other districts have many communities to be considered, ARB did the best they could with the limited resources they had, and they identified 10 communities throughout the state, which basically left 9 out of the 10 that we proposed out of the initial round of identification. This is an ongoing process. So last year we asked again to be included, and the state couldn't pick up another community. Next year we're going to be doing the same, and again asking that that the state consider our remaining communities for inclusion. But it really is a function of resources, limited resources. The thinking for us, for you, Director Carr, is the beauty of the mobile lab, the trailer, is we've invested in the technology. It'll be ours. In some future, our hope is that we can actually use it to begin to monitor other areas of interest, like Meadowview, for example. That is the thinking about having this station on wheels, if you will.
Okay, thanks.
And I want to, Mark, maybe while I'm chit-chatting here, if you have the ability to pull up the map with the 10 locations that we submitted. One of the concerns that we've heard from other parts of the Air District region is that they also wanted to have this inclusion, but Del Paso, the Heights area, the corridor that's going up towards Roseville along I-80 also has a significant amount of air pollution, including that compounded with the heat island effect that we had present in the presentation last time. That's a significant issue. Franklin and Fruit Ridge is not that far from Meadowview and from the AB617 category. But the fact that we were able to win or receive at least support for 1 out of the 10 in the entire state was significant, I think. But it does underscore the fact that we have other communities that have challenges that still are not that still need monitoring, but we don't have the resources to do that. Now we'll have the mobile monitor, and hopefully, if we can, we'll see how things move forward. But we'll be able to procure maybe in the future what we learned from this phase, more monitoring in the future. But there is a process. Mark, can you talk about the process for communities to also submit? We would submit, but the communities can also submit their own area to the Air Resources Board and self-nominate.
Certainly. Real quickly, Madam Clerk, do I have the ability to share my screen to put up the map that Chair Guerra has asked for?
Let me give you permission.
And while that is taking place, Mr. Chair, if I may, I do want to acknowledge that the Del Paso community north of the downtown area is going to get some attention by way of Valley Vision and a few partners were successful in getting a community air grant from the ARB. So we are going to be supporting to the extent that we can that effort. And in this coming year, Valley Vision is going to be leading a very similar effort to what we are doing in the Del Paso area. Obviously, air monitoring is going to be limited, but I think the good news is that there's going to be significant community engagement so that we can begin to generate the momentum so that we can all go back to the state and advocate for resources.
Thank you, Doctor.
Sorry, Chair Guerra.
Yeah, we see the map. The map is shared now. Thank you. And Mark, could you talk about how the Air District submitted all of these areas, Meadowview, Franklin, unincorporated county, North County, and the one, and then also how communities can also self-apply?
Absolutely. So just as a very quick recap, we did share a couple of years ago with the board. Basically, we initially went through and identified, not that there aren't even probably additional areas in all of Sacramento that we would like to see and believe need additional air monitoring. The 10 areas you see highlighted here on the map were simply identified as the 10 that through a scoring system ranked up to the highest. And that scoring was basically based on the economics of the communities, either by census tract and or zip code. It had to do with the community health needs assessment. It was looking at the Callan Virus screen, to name just a few of the tools that went into assessing it. And then so that's where you see the very straight lines that go through and identify different areas, recognizing that pollution does not stop at any arbitrary boundaries such as zip codes and or census tracts. We also then just asked CARB to include an additional buffer area around each of these areas. So that's sort of the basis behind which that we originally just identified the 10 highest ranking, most impacted because they're economically disadvantaged, because they're primarily people of color, that they are people impacted by both air pollution but other pollution sources as well. We also counted in if we had major sources of emissions from stationary permitted sources, how many schools, parks, hospitals were all different considerations in identifying these areas. So that was sort of the basis under why we did feel that there were many areas throughout Sacramento that were deserving of this opportunity of having more localized emissions data. And hopefully as the state continues forward with the 617 program, and hopefully as they identify additional resources to allow additional communities to be brought forward, we can continue to add communities like the Meadowview, like the Oak Park, jumping up into the Del Paso areas, and all the areas are highlighted on this map to name just some of the areas in the communities that would certainly like and are deserving of this focused attention. In terms of your other question, Chair Guerra, there are 3 different processes in total. It was briefly mentioned by Director Ayala that there is also the opportunity for local community air grants, and there has been one that's been awarded to Sacramento. Our region did submit 2 community air grants by different groups. Last year, we were successful on one of the 2, and my understanding was even the second proposal was considered to be very good. It unfortunately didn't just quite check, dot a couple I's and cross a couple T's. And these are just community groups that put that together, but we did provide them feedback as well. Then there is the normal process where the districts nominate. And so we will be continuing, we nominated again originally 2 years ago. We still put forward the other 9 communities last year. We will continue to put forward for these 9 communities going forward. And then as Chair Guerra mentioned, there is the self-nomination process where a community, and the state California Air Resources Board does try to keep this fairly straightforward. They do ask for them to identify the area and the boundaries that they are considering, the pollutants that they believe they are most interested in. There is actually a page on CARB's website that we're happy to share with different groups. I know we're already working with Chair Guerra and one group that's interested in being selected. So we have pulled together and have information very readily available to help share with communities that are interested in self-nominating. Plus all the data that went into these 10 communities right now, should there be overlap with communities that are trying to self-identify, that resource is already posted on our website that has all the background information so they don't have to try and recreate some of that Callan Virus screen and the community health needs assessment information. They have that available to them.
Thank you very much, Mark. I think that are there questions from the board members regarding this? If not, that was just a recap on how we got to the location of AB617.
I understand how we got to where we are and the algorithms that are used to make that determination. The area that has been selected is in my district for the most part, but it's the most affluent part of District 8 in Sacramento. Area G, which represents Meadowview, is the most economically challenged part of the district. So the algorithms that were used, I'm sure were qualitative in nature, but they don't reflect really ground truth if you're looking for underdeveloped, underinvested communities. The ground truth just doesn't reflect it. So, but I understand the lack of resources to address everything, and certainly Meadowview isn't any worse off than Del Paso or Stockton Boulevard area or Fruit Ridge area for that matter. But when we first saw the original maps that came out, I think most of us thought that they did not represent ground truth. And we were told that they were going to be adjusted at the state level. But I wish there was a way that before these decisions are made, that we could, those of us who are familiar with what's going on the ground, have a chance to weigh in and say, here's where it's needed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Director Carr, and I hope staff will take that information today for as part of the process when we resubmit, that those factors are taken into account. Thank you. If there are no other questions, and I see no other hands raised, this is a receive and file, Madam Clerk. We'll go ahead and go on to our last discussion item of the day.
Item number 7 on the discussion calendar, an update on Air District operations under COVID-19.
Good morning, Chair Guerra and members of the board. My name is Amy Roberts, and I'm the Division Manager of the District Stationary Source Division. This is the division at the Air District that oversees permitting and air quality compliance efforts. Today, you will hear about Sacramento Air District's how we have adjusted and responded to the pandemic and stay-at-home health order, and also see how the pandemic so far is affecting our business operations. I'll go ahead and kick off the presentation, and then other division managers will follow. Next slide, please, Selena. Our team in the Stationary Source Division has been able to adjust to the telework environment and still provide the expected services related to processing permit applications, responding to public complaints, and verifying compliance for sources of air pollution. Our staff safety is obviously our priority, and especially during this time. We therefore looked for ways to modify our inspection procedures to limit on-site inspections and interactions with the public. We implemented ways to assess compliance of our permitted sources by conducting phone interviews, reviewing operational records, equipment photos, and source test results, and other ways to do things virtually. We have observed some high priority source tests being performed at certain businesses of importance, and using recommended safety protocols like face coverings and maintaining physical distancing at all times possible. As you know, one of the most important duties of the Air District is to respond to public complaints, and your constituents are an extension of our air quality inspection team. They act as the additional on-the-ground eyes and noses for the Air District and for the community to help alert us of potential air quality violations and public nuisance that might be going on. Responding to these and investigating these complaints is one of our most important jobs, and during these past 4 months, we have continued to review and respond to public complaints, perform surveillance and limited on-site inspections where we've deemed it safe and appropriate. We have also taken into account the great impact that the pandemic and stay-at-home orders have had on businesses that we regulate. And we've provided waivers of late fees for permit holders. We've established payment plans for those that have been in need and expressed a desire for one. And we've developed a frequently asked questions document along with other resources for businesses to help their most pressing questions and provide them with answers. And we've also put links and other information to other resources that are available in the city and the county and Burke websites. Next slide, please. Also, as you know, one of our most important jobs right now during the pandemic is for us to be able to gauge what is going on in order to help understand what the impact on our permitted businesses is, especially because over a third of the Air District's general budget is related to permitting and enforcement work, and therefore it's really important for us to gauge the health of the business community, and that helps us gauge the health of our agency. We're therefore tracking several areas, and on this slide, I'm presenting 3 different pertinent trends that we're gauging. So if I can turn your attention to the first graph, this compares the number of active air quality permits from month to month for both 2019 and 2020, so you can see the trends. You can see that there is a slight decrease if you were to look at an average or the total number of permits in 2020 compared to 2019. But thus far in 2020, the number of air quality permits month to month is remaining stable at roughly 4,440 permits. In essence, we haven't seen a large number of businesses cancel their air quality permits so far. The second graph is important as it gauges the applications that come into the district by businesses or government entities for new projects or modifications to existing facilities. This is an indirect measure of new growth in the county and the economic health of our region. So as you can see, we are about 50% lower in the number of applications that have been submitted to us for review compared to last year's average, and that was about 24 applications per month. So this is a significant area that we are definitely tracking on a regular basis. And in July, that downward trend is continuing. The last graph that I have presented for you is another look at business activities in a different way in the region, and it's related to building renovations and demolitions that occur. Our air district reviews these types of projects to make sure that they are following the requirements of our asbestos rule. As normally, we start to see an uptick in the number of projects that come through our department for review. Spring and summer, we usually see the high number of projects. Right now, and as this graph shows, you can see that those types of projects are significantly declining to the same time period last year. And that decline is about 40 to 50%. So that is what I have for you today. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, Jaime Lemos will provide you with the next update.
If we could, we'll just go ahead and move through the presentation and then take questions at the end of the presentation.
Great. Next slide, Selena, please. Thank you. Good morning, Chair, members of the board. My name is Jaime Lemos, and I oversee the Transportation and Climate Change Division. And so just as Amy mentioned, the asbestos renovations and demolitions are declining. The land use section is just booming right now. There's lots of construction and entitlements. So our land use section and our planners are very busy reviewing lots of plans. And as you can see, the development in our region is just moving forward. This has to do with a lot of streamlining at the local jurisdictions. And then, of course, with everything not moving so fast, construction is able to move much more quickly right now. So lots of work on the land use section here. We've been the busiest since the recession of the 2008 and 2009. So lots of work there. And on the transportation side, you'll see we've got around $64 million that we're trying to push within the next couple of years. So that is keeping our transportation folks extremely busy. You'll see there, we have a couple of vehicles there, school buses, of course, being one of our priorities. And then also too, on the ag side, replacing our old dirty tractors. And then one of the things that we pride very much in our transportation section is being one of the most innovative in the state of California. And so the transportation section now is moved over to conducting remote or virtual inspections. And so they're working with the participants, your constituents, on their side to handle these remote inspections. And we've been very successful with that, still keeping the inspections moving forward, keeping the dollars flowing in order to put the dollars into their hands and being able to continue their operations. So very proud of the team, and I'll take any questions at the end as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaime.
Helps if I unmute. Mark Loudsenheiser, Division Manager of Program Coordination. So just sort of picking up and letting you know where we're at in terms of our different efforts, starting with the monitoring and planning. Fortunately, with all the other negative impacts of COVID, our station operation has not been impacted. We've only need to make some small adjustments on how we drop off or pick up sampling containers from the California Air Resources Board. And then just from an in-office safety standpoint, we're only bringing in staff as needed, usually just one of them or two of them in at a time in order to help provide the shipping and receiving of the different air samples. And as you can see, the pictures off to the right are just some of our one of our monitoring stations. This is the Arden Del Paso station, one of the technicians out there keeping everything up and running. On the planning side, all of our state and federal obligations remain in effect. So what this means for this next year is a great deal of effort. You already heard Kevin speak a little bit about two of the elements as part of the 2015 ozone standard and its impacts on our state implementation plan. So those were the two of the first steps, but another one of my supervisors, David, and his team will be very much involved with the other regional air districts on developing our 2015 ozone state implementation plan. And on another workload, but also a reminder on a good positive note, we did attain the PM10 standard over a decade ago. So we do have, we just finished or in the process of finishing up our first 10-year maintenance plan on maintaining that standard, but we now need to develop a second 10-year maintenance plan. Next slide, please. For the rules and inventory, and of course, 617, which you already heard a little bit about today from Janice, there are, again, no changes in our state and federal rule responsibilities. What this means is any commitments we already have, which includes some contingency measures associated with the previous ozone standard state implementation plan, the 2008, the accelerated rule revisions as required under AB 617, those efforts still remain in effect. And so our team will be working very diligently on those efforts this next year. And I do want to give sort of a little bit of a shout out to both our team members, but also our local businesses. We do have emission inventory requirements. And while even traditionally this is something conducted via letter and phone call, I think our local businesses have been very responsive to our inquiries and have done a great job still helping us maintain those inventory requirements. And I know it's a very difficult and challenging time for them. So I do want to give them as well a little bit of a shout out on their efforts. And then I won't go into more detail since Janice already gave you a bigger update on some of our efforts on 617, but we will be continuing our effort in the South Sacramento flooring community. Thank you. And I believe Jamil Moons will be wrapping us up with an admin update.
Yes, thank you, Mark. Jamil Moons, the Admin Services Division Manager. Good morning, Chair, Directors. It's my pleasure actually to talk about our team. We actually, through this the COVID pandemic, it really feels like our workload has doubled in many areas. So our teams are very busy. The Human Resources team obviously has been very engaged and involved with the whole district, coordinating efforts to put together plans and programs and directives to make sure that our folks can, when they do return to work in a very safe and productive environment. We do have a few staff on site. They rotate. There are essential workers, but we are predominantly remote working at this time. In addition, as you're aware, there have been state laws and federal laws passed around leave policies and the like around COVID. So we have been busy also updating our payroll systems, making changes to be able to accommodate many of those changes. As well, our information technology team, has also been very, very busy supporting a full telework status with the team and have done a great job keeping us all going and open and operational. And meanwhile, while they've been doing that, they have been undertaking a major project, and this started before the pandemic kicked off. And this was to change out all of our infrastructure, all of our hardware and software with our servers and storage, as well as relocating our disaster recovery site. So they have been managing that significant project while keeping us all going and operating from a telework perspective. And the last group, our finance team, we have been wrapping up the year end, and this is our traditional time for our external audit. That did not stop. Pandemics don't stop auditors. So we've been working with them, and normally they would be on site pulling records, looking at internal controls. So our team, our controller and her team has done a fantastic job working with them remotely, getting them everything they need. Preliminary results look very good. So we're thrilled about that. And also Patty and her team have been looking to wrap up the year end and have some preliminary budget numbers for you. So I do want to go over that. Next slide, please. So these numbers are pretty similar. You got a bit of a preview through the spring and our budget development process, where we brought forward this
current year FY 2021 budget to you. We previewed our year end, but these are closer numbers. We still will have numbers shifting for the next month or two as we do our accruals and compensated absences and all those fun accounting details. But these numbers are fairly close. So we wanted to share them with you. And so this is for the last fiscal year, for 1920 ending June 30th. So we had for that fiscal year approved 99.5 FTEs. We have been operating closer to 87, 88 in that range. So clearly we have had significant vacancies. We took that action early. We basically put a hold on where we were at that time and just to be able to monitor and see where we were going. As a result of that and other measures that we've taken to try to manage our finances as prudently as possible, for the general fund, which is our primary operating fund, these are expenditures. The board approves this on an expenditure basis. We were approved for about 23 million in expenditures, and we are coming in at about 18 million, so close to a $5 million savings. The proprietary fund is the fund that manages our building. It's fairly stable. The savings we see there are in building improvements, capital improvements. We had a couple projects slated that have been now postponed, and hopefully we'll get some of those in here in the current year. The last fund is our special revenue fund. This is the fund that tracks all of our incentive grants. So the goal, the target at the beginning of the year was to put 35 million out in projects on the ground. And what we have managed to do is closer to about 16. And Jaime talked a little bit about that. Him and his team are working on getting those out. And I'll talk a little bit more in detail about that. But primarily, there have been manufacturing delays. Some of our participants, they're having to regroup to see how they can get some more of those incentive dollars out on the ground. So we had a shortfall of about $20 million there. So overall, district-wide, 59 million was the expected expenditure, and we are coming in closer to 35. Next slide, please. I wanted to drill in just a little bit more on the general fund, which is our primary operating fund. For operating expenses, we had a budget of 23 million. Actually, let me start with revenues, step up one. So we had budgeted 20 million in revenues, and we actually exceeded that number. One of the major factors there is that we did receive our AB617 grant right before the finish of the fiscal year. We had anticipated that coming in next fiscal year. So, and one other grant is being reimbursed kind of into this year. So it's a timing of grants. So about $2 million of that over revenue is overage is attributed to that, to timing. So next year's budget that we approved will be shy about that same amount because we are just recording it when we received it, which is in this current fiscal year. We did, however, see that our fees, license, and penalties are slightly up from what we budgeted. So while we anticipate having a lag, as Amy shared with you in the earlier slides, we are seeing some of our initial permits going down, some canceling of permits. We did not see that in the last 6 months. We just did a month over month, year to year. Look at that, and we did not see that impact now, but we are very much anticipating a potential impact in these next several months related to that, but it did not record in this past fiscal year. On the operating side, on the expenses side, primarily the main things that make up that $4 million in saving is about $2 million in employee services because of the holding of the vacancies. About another $2 million in contracts and savings, like, for example, Spare the Air. We had a much better season, so we had some savings there. Clearly, our meetings and travel budget, we saw some savings there as a result of the COVID. So little savings here and there totaled up to a pretty significant savings in our operating budget. As well, we postponed some of our capital expenses, and that totaled about 1.3 million. Where we didn't do what we had targeted on the reverses on our interfund charges, and that's the admin fee we get from the incentives. And as I talked about, we didn't get as many incentives out this past cycle as we had anticipated. And hopefully this year will pick up and we'll do better on that end and bring in some more admin funds for those programs. So overall, we had total expenses budgeted at close to 23 million. We performed at around 18 million, so close to a $5 million savings there. So instead of diving into fund balance this past year, we're putting about $4.5 million back into fund balance. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to point out a couple things where we are seeing some revenue dips and trends. So we did an analysis month over month from last year to this year, and we are seeing a decline in our sales tax revenue. So that's our Measure A revenue. You could see it kind of spike up there with the blue bar in February, but since then, the last quarter, you can see last year to this year, definitely see a gradual decline. It's totaling about 13%. So we're taking that into consideration. Likewise, our DMV payments, we're seeing a little bit, and those are primarily registrations, but also new registrations, new car registrations. So while we were tracking pretty well early in the calendar year, you can see this last quarter, it's also slipped off slightly. The last chart up at the top right is our yields from our interest income. And you can see last year we were holding about 2.5 percentage points. And now you can see it's dipping down, though Patty, our controller, told me that it looks like it might be rebounding just slightly. So we're hoping to see a curve up there. So overall, we are doing well financially. We told you that coming into the spring in the budget, and that is where we finished, which put us in a very, very good position to manage the COVID crisis and whatever the unknowns are going forward. As we also mentioned, we'll be back to you in October with the finished full close plus the analysis of the first part of the year, the first quarter of the current fiscal year, where we can better assess and do a comparison from our budget and any potential, kind of give a foresight, I guess the word is, a forecast a little bit to where we might be at mid-year with any potential amendments. So with that, I think that wraps up my presentation.
Thank you, Jamil.
This is the last slide, and my turn to wrap it up for you, board. And just wanted to point out a couple of things, just very broadly at a higher level. Obviously, the state funding is a very important element of our overall budget, so we're tracking that, and we are expecting an impact. We don't know how deep the impact is going to be at this point. So we will keep you posted. But one of the things that we are really advocating as much as we can for is flexibility. You heard earlier, Mr. Lemos, he's got a portfolio of closely $70 million that we still have to put into the region for cleaner projects. And the flexibility we're asking for, and we are working the virtual halls of the Capitol, is if we can spend the money in a way that we can create more economic development that you normally would. And the example I use for you is, we're trying to connect the dots and to let our decision makers know that this is a really good opportunity for air districts throughout the state to really play a role in helping overcome some of the economic crises that are facing us. For example, last time we met, you heard about the importance of trees and increasing the tree canopy in the region. Not only are trees a cleaner strategy, but they are one of the key adaptation measures to a changing climate that, thanks to the study that we conducted that you heard from our staff, that we now know that is really critical for the region. So what we are advocating for is, why don't we use some of the incentive monies to try to increase the canopy? This was also one of the key commitments coming out of the Climate Commission, the Mayor's Climate Commission. And if we can do that, in the process, perhaps we can hire some of the unemployed workers that used to work in restaurants and other businesses that unfortunately are struggling at the moment. So these are simple ideas. The current state guidelines don't allow us to have this flexibility. So I think this is a reason we want to continue to advocate. And in this area, I want to acknowledge our chair, who's been helping us and really instrumental, working with our legislative advocate to try to talk to the folks at the Capitol and see if we can make this happen and do our part to help the region, not only with clean air, but also economically. So this concludes our presentation, Chair.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Dr. Ayala and all the staff. This was a presentation to get everyone up to speed back on where we were tracking our budget. I think there was a request from the board to do regular monitoring and also how our staff are managing during this time. And I have to say that, they're doing exceptional work. They have no shortage of work. A couple things that highlight is that the construction industry and the manufacturing industry is keeping people employed, but that's also keeping this air district, busy at the same time. And the bigger piece, I think, which connects to the previous discussion item, is that if we look at the areas that have poor air quality, whether it's the North unincorporated or South unincorporated or into the cities, is that we still have a lot of work to do. And I think we're doing an exceptional job with the challenge that we have before us. So I just want to thank all the staff for that presentation and keeping us up to speed on the health of the organization. With that, are there any members from the board who have any comments? If not, this is our last item here. Madam Clerk, do we have any comments from the public on this item?
No, we do not.
Okay. Well, are there any comments from the public not on items listed on the agenda?
No.
All right. Madam Clerk? Oh, yes. Did I hear somebody raise their hand? No. Okay, then we will go to board ideas, comments, and AB 1234 reports. I'm assuming no one's traveling these days. Seeing no comments from anyone. Thank you, everyone, for your time this morning, and thank you all the staff for your work. We're adjourned at 10:04 a.m.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you.
Stay healthy.
Thank you. Take care.